What are the true ramifications of this weekend as far as the NFC West? Arizona Cardinals, big opportunity in front of them. It's PHNX Cardinals with a little crossover with our friend over at Locked On Cardinals. Alex Clancy joins the program. Alex, how we doing, my man?
What's up, boys? How's it going?
We're doing well.
Big game this weekend.
6-4 Arizona Cardinals, Clancy. Who would have thought? We were a couple fanboys at the beginning of the year talking about this team winning 10 games. Where were you? What were you saying preseason? I want to know.
I was the rational side that said that's insane. That's where I was. And color me surprised, which is where we are now. But yeah, I mean, going into the week, like I was actually at the 49ers Seahawks game last week, and both of them looked listless. Like they definitely didn't look like the 49ers of old. And the Seahawks offense isn't very good. Their offensive line is bad. And they weren't able to get the ball to DK Metcalf. Jackson Smith and Jigba really started to show he had 10 catches last week. But it was kind of boring football for 60 minutes, which was weird to see.
Yeah, it's like the Cardinals did this against the Niners as well. They just really kind of got the job done in the final, 2 minutes of that game, where most of the game they didn't play great football. Same thing happened for Seattle, and here they are, but like it wasn't a magic wand for the Seahawks. And I think with that, there's a huge opportunity on the road for the Cardinals to go and just kind of distance themselves from this muddled up division. How do you see this thing playing out?
Yeah, I mean, I think they need to expose the Seattle's run defense that hasn't been good this year. I mean, this could be a Kyler Murray's very bored for 60 minutes game if they can get James Conner rolling. I'd like to see Trey Benson get more involved earlier, 10, 12 carries throughout the game, like to spell James Conner and to see if they've got their true RB2, already on the roster. But I think it's going to be a lot of running the ball, man. Like, I don't see a lot of deep shots. It's going to be cold weather, gross Seattle weather. And we all know, above all else, weird things happen at CenturyLink, now Lumen Field. The team that's supposed to win rarely does, and then it's ugly, and it's one of those things interdivisionally that you can't really grasp until you actually see the game played. But should be a close one. I think the Cardinals are going to win.
Geno Smith turns the ball over a lot. He's got 11 interceptions on the year. Can the Cardinals defense, which has been very good lately, mostly at home though, take advantage of a quarterback that, against the rush is not great? But the Cardinals, that's the biggest question on this roster, Alex, is can they get a pass rush?
The biggest question on the roster is the actual pass rushers, but the exotic blitz packages that Nick Rallis has drawn up the last couple of weeks, Budda Baker and Kazir White teaming up in the backfield, like it's been popcorn watching for anybody looking at this talent from the secondary specifically and what they're able to do behind the line of scrimmage. Do you guys question Nick Rallis and Jonathan Gannon anymore with what they do to draw up pass rushes? Because it seems like the last couple of weeks against Swiss cheesy offensive lines, they were able to make some things happen. And Seattle's offensive line isn't great either. So in this defense, I trust until otherwise notified, I think, at this point.
Yeah, I think that there's absolutely trust just with what they've been able to do with, the very little that they've been given as far as personnel roster goes. So, I mean, what they do is, I think, necessary, maybe a necessary evil at times as far as the defenses they have to deploy just to survive against what would be perceived as better offenses. And right now, it's crazy. Like when you look at the Cardinals on paper, you'd be shocked where they are. Johnny and I were talking about it earlier this week, Alex, like 12th as far as points surrendered this season. I mean, we were sitting there earlier in the year and we're like, how are they going to get a stop? Can they get enough stops throughout this year? And now they haven't surrendered a touchdown at home in 3 straight games. Guys, I just want to kind of go around the room and just kind of go to 2 different scenarios here because of what, what's on the line as far as this week goes. Brock Purdy's not in the lineup for the Niners going up against the Green Bay team. Looks like the Niners have a very real chance of falling to 5-6. And if the Cardinals win on the road against Seattle, they send the Seahawks to 5-6. And of course, the Rams are taking on the Eagles on Sunday Night Football. They could fall to 5-6. The Cardinals could distance themselves here, but let's look at what a Cardinals win would mean and what a Cardinals loss would mean, Alex.
Yeah, the win, especially with Atlanta losing last week to Denver, which is huge for ratings. Like we're looking, all the way at the end of the season with rankings or seeding specifically. But I mean, a 2-game lead at this point, we haven't seen that since 2021, where they were, 7-0, 10-2, 10-3, and then ended up not winning that division when they had a 3-game lead with Florida players, something like that, in embarrassing fashion. This is a game they should win. That's the first time I've said that this year. They're the better team. They're the better coach team. They're going against a rookie head coach. They got the better quarterback. They've got the better offensive line. I mean, skill position players on offense, even if it's a wash with what they've got with DK and Jack Smith and Jibba and Kenneth Walker, like, it's really, I think that a win solidifies them as a real threat to win a playoff game this year, going on the road, tough environment in a must-win game to really solidify themselves atop the NFC West. But it's going to say so much more about the proof of concept from what we've seen up until this point. This is like, okay, now there's no question that they can do this every week. It's just a matter of if they can scheme and prepare enough to beat any team on any Sunday. But if they win on Sunday, the sky's the limit, in my opinion. I don't think that's too much to say after what we've seen so far up until this point.
Yeah, they really control, Alex, their own destiny, especially before week 17 and 18 when they play the Rams and the Niners respectfully. Like, you take care of business against Seattle in these 2 games and you beat Carolina and New England. Like, I think you win the division. I want to talk about the LA Rams. I've declared them dead on our show multiple times this year.
Whoops.
And like the Lazarus man, they keep returning. Via, I think it was the New York Times, The Athletic. The Cardinals have roughly a 60% chance to win the division. They have since dropped the Niners to like 10%. And I think with a loss on Sunday, like, their season is over. Bo expects the Rams to beat the Eagles this weekend. What's your outlook on the team that stole the Cardinals division title in 2021? Are they poised to do it again?
No, but Sean McVay's still the best coach in the NFC West. I mean, Jonathan Gannon is second, like Bo, even when Bo and I hosted Locked on Cardinals, like, it was, you're cool with the flat brim and the Yeezys, but you've never won jack, like, ever
Right.
won anything. And I think I picked the Rams to win Sunday night. I think they're, exponentially the better coach team. I don't think that they can nip at the heels of the Cardinals at this point because of how the season has played out so far. If you start the 2024 season over again with these 2 teams as currently constructed and the situation they're in, I think they'd be going back and forth exchanging punches in the NFC West all year.
Yeah.
But they're not there yet. They're a year away, but they've had incredible drafts finally when they get picks. I just don't think that it's going to be a threat this year.
It's really crazy to just look at it. Like, what a win puts this team, it kind of piggyback what you guys said. It puts this Arizona Cardinals team in an unforeseen position to cruise control the rest of the season. I mean, not that this, like, they understand that they can't show up any given week and just show up and they're going to get a W in that column. But they would put them in a position, it would put them in the catbird seat where they are in control of their own destiny as long as they take care of business against the likes of the Patriots, the Panthers, and, a couple teams at the end of the season. We'll see, if the Rams are up for the fight in week 17, if the Niners are up for the fight in week 18, or if they're just going to kind of call off the dogs. But if they lose this week, guys, I get the sense that it continues to murky the waters as far as NFC West, that the Cardinals are just right there in the mix, that they're no better or worse than these teams. And it's just going to be, as you guys have kind of been talking about, outlining, a dogfight till the bitter end.
Yeah. I one thing that I've been trying to keep, grounded with this is, maybe you guys did, I didn't, all joking aside. I thought that 3-7 would be an incredible way to go into the bye week with the schedule before we saw it, play out. So the fact that it went 6-4 and the fact that, by and large, most were surprised by that, just because the schedule in the second half looks quote unquote easier doesn't mean it can't completely flip back. I mean, these are all NFL teams. The Cardinals, they're all playing for whatever they're playing for. And the Cardinals are going to have to go in. And I think you're right. But like, if they lose on Sunday, with how strong the NFC North is, you're going to be looking at, well, will they make the playoffs? Those percentages are going to plummet because it's only one position or one team out of the NFC West going to make the playoffs. That's, expecting Green Bay to continue and then Detroit to continue up top. I just think that at this point, win or lose, they've shown enough resiliency, proof of concept, whatever you want to call it, to say this isn't it just because, it's getting a little warmer up top. Like, I think that they're going to be prepared for the rest of the year, and I do think they'll make the playoffs regardless of if they win on Sunday or not.
Yeah, I do too, and I also feel like it's difficult because this season has already been a roaring success, regardless of how they finish. Sans a Cliff Kingsbury like collapse. Like, I think at the very least they're going to win 9 games, and I think on the high end they could win as many as 12, which is unbelievable. All of us would have signed up for 9-8. And again, New York Times has them winning minimum 10, which would get you, I think, an NFC West division title. Alex, my last question for you, brother. We talked about who needs to step up in the second half. We've previewed it ad nauseum on our show. Who is poised for the final 7-game stretch run to explode for the Arizona Cardinals, rookie or otherwise?
It's the young guys. It's all of the young guys. Because it's like Garrett Williams, by all the metrics, is a top 5 cover corner in the NFL this year. Like, it's bonkers to see him. The fact that he got injured the last year of college is the best thing that could happen for the Cardinals because he dropped to the 3rd round. He's a guy. Max Melton is really starting to come into his own. Dadrian Taylor-Demerson has not slowed from college to now. So it seems like the secondary is something that needs to anchor this defense in an effort to just keep it afloat. They don't have to be top 12 the rest of the year. Top 20 should be enough. And then on offense, it's the young guys also. It's can Marvin Harrison Jr. continue the organic growth with Kyler Murray that we've seen? It's easy now. It looks easy. In Miami, it looked easy. They're finally on the same page. And it is James Conner, but it's also Trey Benson. Like, this run game, if they have to go on the road in cold environment in the playoffs, if, whatever it may be, just to keep the metronome going on offense, it can't just be James Conner. We've seen that break every single year he's been here. So if you have another running back that you can trust, albeit a rookie, that's something that can keep this offense on schedule. And I think, like, it's wild that we're just looking at the rookies. Xavier Thomas, when he comes back healthy, like, all of the young guys need to produce if the Cardinals want to continue this momentum forward. And I think it will. They're ready. Like, am I crazy? Like, they're all ready to rock. Like, there's this guy's not ready to play football in the NFL yet.
It's like playing young players benefits you down the road. And who would have thought? Not the Cardinals of old. I mean, it's crazy that they're here, but it's so refreshing to see that the organization leans into that and is putting them in a position to be, a big piece of the team and their success down the stretch, where it used to be like, okay, our old guys aren't performing, so the team's just going to fall by the wayside. It's just 3 fellas that talk about this team each and every day. Bo Brack, Johnny Venerable, Alex Clancy. Check out his great work, Locked on Cardinals, wherever you find podcasts. Of course, subscribe to it on YouTube and subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. Who do you think's going to win this game? Drop a comment. Leave a like on this video. Alex, thanks, man.
Thanks, guys. It was good to see you.
We all silly like the mayor.